Hey, what's up guys, Totallydubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the AOC AG352UCG6 Black Edition. Now, for those who might remember or might be following my channel, last year I reviewed the normal non-black version. This monitor basically has the same specs as the one you can see in front of you, except it runs at 100 Hz. The new Black Edition model runs at 120 Hz. Now, in terms of specs, you might be wondering, what on earth are you getting? Well, you're getting a 35-inch curved ultra-wide screen with NVIDIA G-Sync, 120 Hz refresh rate. You've also got a resolution of 3440 x 1440p. You've also got a quoted response time of 4 milliseconds as it's running on an NVA panel, very much like the old version as well. And in terms of inputs, you've got a HDMI and DisplayPort to choose from, and you've got also built-in speakers with a VESA 100x100mm mount at the back. Full specs will be in the description below. Now, you might be wondering, what about pricing? What does the extra 20 Hz and the Black Edition bring? Well, currently it's a little bit odd because the old version, the 100 Hz model, can be found for around £745, whilst the 120 Hz version, which is the one you can see in front of you, can be found for £727. So yes, it's cheaper for some reason, depending on where you shop around. In the US, the pricing is a little bit more straightforward. The 100 Hz version is $799 or $800, sorry, and the 120 Hz one is $900, so an extra $100 more. Now, in terms of what you get for the price, you actually get a lot of features that are thrown in, and it is quite impressive. However, since then, there's been other monitors being released, such as the BenQ EX3501R, that has 100 Hz, pretty much the same specs as the older version, but it has HDR as well. So let's see how it compares. So first of all, let's talk about the build quality. Now, the biggest thing you might notice versus the old version is, yes, it's black stand. It has like a solid black finish. It looks beautiful. I must say it feels like it blends in more with my black desk. It just looks fine to me. There's nothing too special. It's also good in terms of differentiating between the two models quite easily. Very much like the old model, you've still got the RGB strips. Now, when I say RGB, it's not a full 16.7 million color RGB. It's green, red and blue, and you've got strips at the back of the monitor as well, which can be illuminated. In all honesty, it's not really like a Philips Hue type of effect. However, it's nice in terms of the overall looks. It just adds a little bit more of a cool gaming touch to it. This can be disabled if you so wish through the OSD, which I'll show you in just a bit. And the monitor has a nice 1800R curvature, which means you get a little extra immersion. Now, it's a shame that AOC haven't really added a three-side borderless design. They've still kept the bezel. However, the bezel on this model is a little bit better because it's no longer a glossy bezel. It's rather a matte black finish, which it just makes it look a little bit better, and therefore when you put your fingers on it, then it's not going to attract all fingerprints. On the right-hand side, you've got a black, again, all the theme is black, but you've got a black headphone stand, which is quite useful to have under there. Now, underneath of the monitor, you've got a joystick. Now, I found it a little bit awkward because if you press the joystick, then it switches off the monitor, but if you were to scroll right, you go into the OSD, which is what I'm going to go into right now. Now, the OSD is comprehensive, pretty much like the old model. It has the same options as you would expect, and AOC's and even Philips, which is the same company, offer a really comprehensive OSD. So with luminance, you've got brightness, gamma, color, gamma controls and overdrive and game mode. Color setup, I've got it on user 65 across the board because it's calibrated to sRGB out the box. You can use it on sRGB mode as well, but then you won't get access to the brightness controls, the OSD, and then in terms of the extra settings, the overclock setting. So I would suggest going onto the overclock setting and setting it to 120 Hz and enabling that, and I'll get into that in just a bit. And then you've got the LED colors, which I was talking about before. Overall, I must say the OSD is fully comprehensive. I've no problems whatsoever using it, and it's very intuitive and easy to understand. Now, I said I was going to talk about the 120 Hz. Now, I have an NVIDIA GTX 1080, so I've got a G-Sync which is enabled and can be running. So I've set it to 120 Hz through the NVIDIA control panel, and then I said to myself, okay, then obviously what I'm going to do is check for frame skipping. So just to show you, well, my camera might not be picking up, but G-Sync is enabled and 120 Hz through the OSD. So I went on UFO frame skipping test, and it successfully passes the test. It might not pass it on camera, but it passed it flawlessly with absolutely no frame skipping, so I can confirm it does run 120 Hz with my NVIDIA GPU. I can't comment on AMD graphics cards because I don't have an AMD graphics card. Now let's talk about the panel quality. Now, in a previous model, one thing which really got me was kind of like a washed out color. Now in this respect, for some reason, whatever they've done, the panel actually looks a lot better. The contrast ratio is really good. Like over here, you can see Statue of Liberty really popping out from the sky. The colors look accurate. They're really full of color. The deep blacks are black, although arguably could be a little bit darker. The white point is quite nice and is accurate. Overall, the color tones are fully vibrant, but are not overly saturated, and also they look accurate, at least to my eyes. Now, I didn't put it through a calibrator in this respect, like I did on the old one. However, I can definitely say that, having reviewed over 100 plus monitors, that this monitor is definitely one of the most beautiful ultra-wide monitors I've come across in terms of color reproduction, contrast ratio, and just the overall presentation of it. In terms of the overall brightness, you saw I have it really low. That's just because of the camera in order to pick up the screen properly. Other than that, the brightness is very much bright. You'll have no problems using it in a fully bright sunlit room, so no worries about that either. It does go very bright. So overall, in terms of color reproduction, I must say I was very impressed. It might not be absolutely the best panel I've come across in terms of the colors and the contrasts and whatnot, but overall, I must say I'm very impressed, and definitely I see it as a step up from the older model. Hands down, what they've done with the monitor is fantastic. Now, most importantly, and as I said in the old review as well, is its gaming performance. How does it actually do for gaming? Now, the old monitor, what I said is that you really had to use overdrive on strong setting in order to get the best auto feel. The reason why I said overdrive on strong setting is simply because sorry, I'm just switching off the sound. Of course, it's coming through the monitor. There we go. So there's the speakers working, but what I found is that on the old monitor, when you had it overdrive on strong, you had a huge amount of inverse ghosting to the point that it was unplayable. Now, if you go back on my old video, you see the old Dust 2 before it got kind of remasters and whatnot. But over here now on the strong setting, there is still amount of inverse ghosting that's occurring, but it's a lot more acceptable. It is still there, and I can still notice it, but still, it's something that I can see myself, if I was competitively gaming, I wouldn't have a problem of having this sort of inverse ghosting. Now, don't get me wrong, there is quite a lot of it. It is very noticeable. You can see a massive trail at the end of this wall. Hopefully my camera can pick this up, but there's a massive trail that occurs over here. And so yeah, it is noticeable. There is inverse ghosting. They haven't fixed that. However, it is acceptable. Now, in all honesty, I can't see competitive gaming. I mean, playing Counter-Strike 4x3 stretched on this monitor just seems absolutely ridiculous to me. But nevertheless, if you're going to be a person getting this monitor, you're probably going to be more of a casual gamer, or someone who's not going to be using it at a global level of Counter-Strike, for example, playing at a super high competitive level. You're going to be someone who's going to be wanting to play the odd competitive game, have a monitor that can be capable of that with its response time and input lag, but then realistically, you're going to be playing games like Fortnite and other games that are like that, or even competitive games like Dota and League of Legends and whatnot, but aren't ones that are FPS games. And in this respect, the medium overdrive setting is pretty much what I had as my conclusion on my old video. has the perfect blend. But in this respect, the medium overdrive setting on this monitor seems to do a lot better job, because the response time of the monitor overall is very, very good. So even on a medium overdrive setting, you get a fantastic experience, to the point that I could even use medium overdrive on competitive gaming. The ghosting is not completely eliminated, but to be honest, 90% of it is gone compared to overdrive on the strong and extreme setting. And overall, I could see myself playing on casual games and whatnot. Now, I talked about the response time of the monitor. Of course, the overdrive setting brings down the response time monitor, and yes, in terms of response time monitor, I was very impressed with that. Input lag, I was a little bit disappointed with the older model, and over here, again, it's slightly slower than I would expect from a fully fledged competitive gaming monitor, but overall I think they've again improved this in a slight bit, and it feels just a little bit more responsive, meaning again I could use this monitor for competitive gaming. Now, given the fact I've got 120Hz and NVIDIA G-Sync thrown in as well, you suddenly got a fantastic monitor. I don't know what AOC have done, but overall they've done a great job in producing a fantastic monitor that really appeals to all types of gamers, competitive gamers and casual gamers. It really works out for both. The overall build quality and design is great too. The panel quality seems to have improved. The colors just a little bit pop a little bit better. And just overall, I think the AOC have really nailed the ultra-wide monitor over here. Now, of course, it doesn't have HDR like the BenQ variant, but if you're not fussed about HDR, and I'm personally not fussed at all about HDR, even though it's a cool feature to have, especially looking into the future and the next coming years, I think this monitor is the best ultra-wide gaming monitor you can currently find on the market. And given it is a little bit cheaper than its older variant, it just seems like a no-brainer. Get this model if you've got the money, and it's £730, which I accept is a lot of money for a monitor, but you're getting a hell lot of features. 1440p panel, 120Hz, NVIDIA G-Sync, good color reproduction due to its VA panel, good response time, and good perceived input lag as well. Overall, it seems like you get a fantastic deal. So there we go, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review. Make sure you give it a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you think is the best ultra-wide on the market. Personally, the award for me goes to this one. So yeah, keep up the good job, AOC. Really impressed to see what they've done. I personally thought when I saw this monitor it would be just a slight little revision in terms of color with the extra 20Hz and all the same problems as the old one. That doesn't seem to be the case, so it is actually worth its own review. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed, take care and bye bye.